Thanks to global warming, America is facing its worst drought ever. And beaver could be its only hope. Scientists Nick Bowes and Joe Wheaton believe that using the water-saving powers of these industrious rodents could be hugely important in fighting the effects of drought. But does their theory work? And will they be able to overcome the prejudice many Americans, but especially ranchers, feel toward beaver? In Elko, Nevada, one lone woman is giving it her best shot. For more than 20 years, Carol Evans has been trying to convince ranchers about the benefits of beaver.
I've been working on streams since 1977, and I've never seen a drought this severe. We've had almost no snowpack here in northeastern Nevada for the last 4 years. So the streams have been as dry as I've ever seen them, except where there's beaver. I really love the analogy of beaver as being sort of reservoir builders. When I look at some of these streams, they're full of beaver dams and wetlands and full of water and sediment. To me, they're just reservoirs. The beaver are storing that water during the spring when we get runoff or during periods of rain, and they're keeping that water during the dry period and releasing it slowly as things dry out. When you live in a place like Nevada with 10 inches of rain a year, you start paying attention to something that holds the water on the landscape, especially during a drought.
Carol's passion for beaver managed to convince one local rancher to try out her theory.
We're on our way out to Susie Creek to see some of the work that the ranch manager for the area, John Griggs, and I and many other partners have been doing over the last 20 or so years to improve stream conditions, which have led to the return of the beaver.
Over the past 10 years, the beaver on John Griggs' property have transformed a once barren creek into an all-year-round water source. A creature that he and his kinsmen once considered a pest has become an invaluable ally in their fight against the drought. After seeing firsthand just what these incredible water savers can do, he's realized they have a lot more in common than he first thought.
We ranchers haven't always had a good relationship with beaver in that, you know, when they show up in your irrigation system, they can play havoc. We had to have a cultural shift in that we kind of have a lot in common with beaver. Our culture focuses around the work like theirs do, and our culture focuses around family like theirs do. So we needed to figure out how to let them do their thing when they're in the right spot and how to discourage them from hurting us when they're in the wrong spot. Oh, hey, Carol.
Hey, John, how are you?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
You're out here taking a look at Susie Creek?
Yeah, out here checking it out.
Yeah, it's looking pretty good.
It is.
Wow.
Pretty incredible for Nevada.
Especially after 4 years of drought,
Yeah.
isn't it? There wasn't much water, there wasn't much vegetation. It was just
Right.
kind of a dry gravel bar, wasn't it?
It was hard for me to know the potential of what this could be back then because as we're looking at it now, it was mostly gravel, and probably this time of year there wouldn't have been water.
Pretty dry, yeah.
You know, traditionally, stockmen didn't have such a good relationship with beaver, so really didn't know how they could help us, and I was afraid they'd hurt us. I asked, what should we do? And I'm thinking, do we have to try to trap them, or what are we gonna do? And you said, well, let's see what happens. And
Yeah.
thank goodness we did. Because
Well,
they sure made this deal. Really, they're the
Yeah.
star of the show.
By working together over multiple generations, beaver have been able to effect permanent positive changes to Susie Creek. They're an incredibly social animal, choosing to live in tightly knit colonies, typically made up of an adult pair and 2 to 6 offspring, or kits. These nocturnal builders have worked tirelessly, felling trees and cutting branches in order to dam up the creek in multiple locations, all to protect their home or lodge. And just like us, their homestead is their castle. And no good castle would be complete without a moat. Once their dams have created a large enough pool, they'll construct their lodge right in the middle, safe and secure from any unwanted visitors. And John couldn't be happier they decided to become permanent tenants.
Hey, you want to walk down there and see if we can jump some ducks?
Yeah, let's do
Okay.
it. Some of my peers this year are hauling water for their stock.
A lot of people are having a hard time this
Yep.
year. If we'd gone back 20 years and we'd had a drought like this, what would you guys have done this year? There probably wouldn't have been any water here.
It would have made a big part of the adjacent pastures unusable. Some of these are too rugged to even haul water to. I'm happy to say, Carol, that I don't know what we would have done.
You don't have a water shortage now, do you?
No, sure don't. Here we say whiskey's for drinking, water's for fighting, because there's not too much water. So every bit we get, we need to try to put to work as best as we can. We have water in places where we dang sure wouldn't have in the past. So there's a lot of us ranchers that are seeing the benefits to it.
If even hardcore ranchers can change their opinion on beaver, then surely anything's possible. But what do the residents of Las Vegas think?
Positives outweigh the negatives at the end of the day, and there was more water and there wasn't as much damage by the beavers, I'd probably be for it.
There aren't any trees. What are the beavers going to chew down?
I mean, it sounds a little wacky that the solution is beavers, but at the same time, I think if, the smart people in the room, scientists and such, think that that's one tactic they want to use, I'd say go for it.
Go beavers!
But convincing Nevada's ranchers one at a time will be a slow process. And the amount of water saved on each individual property is only a tiny drop in the proverbial lake. Las Vegas, however, doesn't have that kind of time. On current predictions, it could be curtains for the city in as little as 20 years. If things are going to change quickly enough, there needs to be a real change in federal and state policy. And that's just what Nick and Joe are trying to do.